People of the world, this podcast is designed to be like hanging out after a trade show or frag swap. This is real reef talk by real reefers when they're not trying to impress people. We're just trying to have a conversation that we're interested in. All this stuff we love, we want to talk about it and be enthusiastic about it without any filters. That means we might swear, we might say words. And man, I understand some people don't like it, but if you are going to let some bad words get in the way of your reefing tank and making it successful, because you can't be successful without this show, that's on you. That's on you. My name is Richard.
And my name is Ben.
And today on Reef Beef, the Reef Beef podcast, we are going to talk about some updates. We're going to talk about Ben having an emergency and Ben having another emergency, and we'll see how long that takes. This episode is brought to you by saltwateraquarium.com, Champion Lighting and Supply, and powered by PolypLab. This is Reef Beef. Benjamin.
Richardman.
It is good to see you.
It's good to see you too, my man.
We have recorded a couple of shows with guests, and it's nice to just talk to Ben for a little bit.
I know. Sometimes you just want the old gang back.
Yeah, sometimes I mean the shows with guests go all cattywampus and crazy because we're having a good time. And so I think sometimes we get back to the shows with just you and I, we kind of can talk about stuff. And most of this show is going to be about you. So I'm going to ask you first, before we get to your stories, is there anything in the kind of normal catch up that we do at the beginning of a show that you want people to know about?
Oh, I have a client that it's one of the few times where I let him add stuff nilly-willy because he insisted on it, and I argued with him and he still did it, just put in a bunch of stuff, and he paid me to help him do all this. And he's the one that we did a bunch of aquabiomics tests on it, coming back with a lot of Archobacter and Vibrio. And this morning, right before we're recording, he's texting me a bunch. You know, at first everything was like, it was more like, wow, this tank looks great. And you're telling me it's chock full of Vibrio and Archobacter? Not much bad happening. Well, much bad is now happening. And what? just meltdowns of euphilia. I gave him a free Pacillopora damicornis head like this big.
How big is his Texas food bowl?
Yeah, Texas food bowl.
Two hands he was holding it up.
Two Texas hands.
Two Texas hands.
And just all of a sudden RTNing, no reason. And it's like, you know, and he was getting a little pissy, but, you know, and this is a business. And I told him, I was like, hey, man, I told you in the beginning if we weren't going to do it my way, you know, but what do I do? But what do I do? You know, me at the same time, he's having a bit of an ick problem because he has an Achilles tang in there. So it's just like, and some of my ways aren't really satisfying because I tend, as long as it's not some big giant meltdown, I tend to be the guy that's like, what lives, lives, what dies, dies. This is an incredibly complicated, because he was like, what do I take the fish out? He's got 2 Orani tiles. He's got, you know, 4 tanks. He's got a massive biomount. And I was like, I cannot receive him here. Where are you going to put him? He's like, oh, could we dip him and put him back? And I was like, no, you don't dip a fish and then put him back into the milieu of protozoans and stuff like that. It doesn't do anything. And he was like, I should get rid of all my corals and copper. And I said, you're destroying the substrate and the rock. And he's like, what do I do? I was like, what do you do is you get a time machine and go back to when I told you, put the reins in my hand and let's do this more methodically. But anyways, we are going to, with the help of, I guess I shouldn't say his name, but with the help of someone who would know how to use it, we are going to hit his tank with OA.
Okay.
And, you know, we'll be very conservative about it and see if that can get us in a better spot. But this is a fire where there's multiple quadrants of fires going on. So it's like, been the ick, been the Achilles, been the corals dying for no reason. What do we do? It's like, you know, what we do is do it my way, which is slow and frustrating. But you saw my pictures that I showed you when you decided to use me, and this is how we get to these things. It takes a while.
Right. And that's two things. I think in the new Coral magazine, there's a discussion of OA.
Yeah.
Right. Have you read that? Is
I
that out?
haven't gotten it yet.
Yeah, I think that's there. So that's good. Um, and then I was going to say, it just reminds me of people who like set up their tanks and it's there for 6, 9 months and or less, and it's going south. And they say, "What do you do?" And then you say you do this, and they go, "Well, I don't want to do that." And you go, "Well, I don't know. It took you 6 months to make this mess. We're gonna have to take a little time to get out of this mess. This is steering an oil tanker. This isn't a speedboat." And yeah, I was thinking about that the other day too. Like somebody was talking about having cyano, and it's like, when a little bit of cyano shows up, I start going, "Oh, well, maybe I should change my DI and, maybe my carbon." But otherwise I just leave it. It's like,
And you
especially in the
could,
lab tanks, because it's like they're lab tanks, they're not displays.
yeah.
And all of those kind of pests, I think, burn themselves out. It just takes a month or two
And
or
like if I was
3.
in your shoes, like I guess I would just grab a bucket and a little siphon hose and I would just siphon a little patch out, walk away.
Yeah, I used to do that. Now I don't even want to do that much work.
Yeah.
That's because, and I'll tell you why. The lab is expanded now behind this wall. I keep saying that we'll do a video tour of it, and we will. But what keeps happening is I keep changing what's going on back there. Back there now is the end of line tank, and there's another rack back there with a big tub on the bottom that's going to be used for spawning. But on the top of it right now is a tank for Homolinky octopus.
Oh, cool.
And I just moved the 4 Metasepia back there into another tank. So I've been adding and drilling and doing all kinds of stuff, and pretty happy with it now. So
Are the Metasepia like pretty young?
yeah, they were just hatched when I
Because
got
they
them.
don't have like true chameleons in the reptile world. They don't have like a long lifespan, right?
Well, most cuddles, the warm water cuddles, will live a year or 2 at the most.
Okay. And
Um,
that's on a good day.
so they were supposed to come as eggs, but delays and delays and delays. It's so annoying, right? You, the, this is why sometimes we can't have nice things, or it's really hard to try to get nice things. The shipment got bumped, so by the time it got shipped, you know, they had hatched in the bags. And so
Whoa.
when they sent them to me, they were in bags, but the way they bagged them up, they didn't put a lot of air in them. So the bags, when they fell sideways, pancaked.
Oh.
And so that was not good for anything. I'm a little confused about that shipping method, but that's what happened. So that was kind of, the nightmare of the reality of reef keeping is animals don't make it. But now I'm down from, I don't even want to say how many I got, like 28, down to 4, but they are beasts. I moved them this morning and fed them and they ate immediately. So I'm really excited.
You just did a bin. You're like,
I
I'm not
totally
going to
did.
talk about that. Here it is.
Well, I realized as I was saying that, I was like, there's no reason not to talk about it. Why am I not talking about something?
I probably shouldn't say this, but blah, blah,
But,
blah, blah.
but, but I have 2. No, never mind. Um, yeah. So that's what's going on here. The display, and I'll try to get a video of that as well. The display, remember I hacked it way down.
Yeah.
Everything's looking bomber again. It's like looking great. It's like thick. But I think the reason for that is, I didn't clean the glass for 3 weeks. And then this is my new recommendation. When you do a major scape change, when you cut back corals and hack them and move a lot of stuff around, don't clean the front glass for like 3 weeks or a month. Just leave it. Just leave
Yeah.
everything alone. And then you'll clean it. It's like No Nut November. And then you
Yeah.
clean it and you go, whoa, everything looks so good because you
Yeah.
haven't been jerking around with it every day for the last month. So yeah, I'm a big fan of not cleaning your display if you don't have to.
Would you like a sandwich from a bodega?
Hey, Richard, saltwateraquarium.com has been with us like pretty much since the beginning.
It seems insane. It
It
seems
is.
insane.
I guess they like us.
I guess they like us. So we used them before, so they were a no-brainer for us to approach when we decided we wanted sponsors. So we're very happy, really happy that they're still around. If you order from them, when you order from them, write something in the notes. See if you can get them to respond to us because you wrote something insane.
And
They're
use
great.
their app. They have an app on the phone, and use our URL down below that leads you to their from here so they know who sent you.
Yeah. I dig them because they've got 3 shipping fulfillment centers about the US. So if I order something like at 11 o'clock, it's usually shipped the same day. So if I need something fast and I don't want to pay a ton of money for fast shipping, this is where I go. They usually have everything I want and they get it to me quick. So check them out. Use the link below. What are they called, Ben?
Saltwateraquarium.com.
Yeah.
Would you like a sandwich from a bodega?
All right, that's the catch up. What else were we going to do before we get to Ben's stories? Oh, a beef. So remember those jackasses that went after those people? And we're not saying anybody's names in any of this because we don't want to put any light on the jackasses, and we don't want to put any pointer to the people who were treated badly for more jackasses to go after. But there were some jackasses doing some really jackassy stuff, like really crappy stuff, and threats of bodily harm, and going to trade shows had to be canceled for safety reasons, and really stupid crap to have happen in our hobby over what turned out to be nothing. But then those people have been making the rounds going after people. And I didn't know they knew about me because I have them all blocked. So I haven't talked about them. And now, now I'm talking about them, but I'm not saying who they are because who cares? They went after me a couple of ways. They went after me in the YouTube comments of one of our videos. And, just this, there's millions of ways to hurt me. What they did was the wrong one. And then they also went after me about, that I'm not a biologist or something like that. Just this weird attack that they were,
which is so hilarious because I don't think they are either.
Yeah, but it's also like, if you talk to me, which they never have, I don't ever call myself a biologist. I would call myself an aquatic biologist or a biologist at the Steinhardt Aquarium because that's the job title. Yeah. But if you look at my webpage and, the Reef Beef podcast webpage, it doesn't refer to me as a biologist anywhere because that's a weird thing. And I'm not a biologist. I barely can consider myself a scientist, but other scientists tell me I'm a scientist. So that's great. It's just such a weird thing. Oh, I know where they got it from. Like when I'm on other shows, they put Rich Ross biologist.
Yeah.
Right. And that's because that was my old job title. And I don't care to correct people on that stuff anymore.
But that stuff has happened to me too when I'm speaking at things and I look at what they wrote on me and I'm like, I wish we would have talked about that before you printed it.
Yeah, but and just like I don't correct people who call me Dr. Ross anymore.
Yeah,
like, okay. You didn't do your homework. Okay, I don't really care. No one really cares, right?
Yeah.
I don't care that it said biologist, and I have no control over that. So who cares? What a stupid thing to be complaining about. But
it's not even earnest. It's they're trying to get at you is all.
They're just trolls. They're just raking muck to get attention is really what it is. And the point is, the only reason I bring it up is because what they did is bouncing off me this time. It's fine. But they were really bad to other people a lot of times. And this is our extended community. So please don't feed trolls. Feed the people who are doing stuff you think is good. I know drama is fun, but there are people behind the drama. Whoever you're dramaing against or enjoying watching them get dramaed, there are actual people on the other side of that. And any one of us could be dramaed at any time. So what am I saying? I'm saying I think the best way to extinguish trolls is to not give them any light. But if you're the kind of person who loves going into the fight, I'm not going to tell you not to either. But I think just don't give them any light, man. It's just, they're gross.
This is enough light. This is like a little candle.
Yeah, this is too much. We're moving on.
Yeah.
I only say it because they go after marginalized people a lot, and that pisses me the hell off.
When you see stuff like this on forums or whatnot, just shut it down. Shut it down.
Just right, not cool, man. What are you doing? And then block them and get the fuck out.
Would you like a sandwich from a bodega?
Champion Lighting and Supply is the place for champions and lighting and supplies. Yeah, that's good, right?
Yeah. Champion Lighting and Supply is how champions light their supplies.
That's exactly right. And if your name is Todd Krunkel, we love you and your business. The main thing I think we love about Champion Lighting and Supply is not only are they they've got their thumb on the pulse of the hobby. They know what's going on. They know what equipment's going. They know what's good. But they also pack their stuff with recycled cardboard.
Yeah, Richard, Todd has a machine. Well, Champion has a machine that you take all your old cardboard, run it through, and it cuts all these slots and like poofs it up. And that's their packing material. I love it. And it's also easier to, I recycle it.
Yeah, it's super easy. It's reused and then it's recycled. And just because sometimes I show what my latest purchase is, here's F-Aptasia. It's one of the things that I use a lot of when I use it. And I got it from Champion this time. So thank you, Champion Lighting and Supply. We heart you.
Would you like a sandwich from a bodega?
Yeah.
Ben, you had some emergencies.
Oof. Man, as I always love to say, I have been doing this for so long. A couple weekends ago, I had the epic, most ultimate, potentially horrible Saturday where I'm supposed to be chilling with my kids, my family. And so in the morning, I get a phone call. It starts with this one phone call.
Okay, can we do this?
Yeah.
You ring ring. Hi, this is Ben.
Ben. Oh, so I'm the client. Ben, my pump isn't working in my 550-gallon freshwater tank, and I'm an hour away from you. What can we do about this?
I'll kill my children and be right there.
Sounds good. That's
Okay.
very reasonable. Oh my God. No, but it's a client that almost never contacts me. He always emails me because he's a retired millionaire and just doesn't talk on the phone. So he calls me and I'm like, that's weird. So I pick it up. He's like, my pump stopped working sometime last night. It was making a horrible noise. Now, for a little bit of reference, I've had this client for about a decade, for about 10 years. It's a 550-gallon freshwater tank, and the pump that was running on it, I had to look it up, but it is a popular like swimming pool or maybe hot tub pump. It's called a A.O. Smith.
Yeah,
Now,
how long has it been in use?
I'd
10
say
years?
12 years.
That's a long time.
12 years, 24/7 running. It's had a couple hiccups here where it sucked something up, and one time when it went dry. But I was amazed. It's, not necessarily from the aquarium industry, but man, this sucker ran for a long time. What I was scared about when I got that phone call is because the guy's a real penny pincher. And so, I was looking at it and it's like, man, I've been sort of expecting this pump to die at some point. But, this guy will argue over $30.
Right.
It's like, this ain't going to be cheap. First of all, I didn't say this to him on the phone, but in my head, I'm like, you calling me on a Saturday, and, and then your pump goes out. I'm not sure if I have something, but, oh, man, I am not a religious man or a spiritual man or any of that kind of stuff. But sometimes things happen. You're like, what the hell's going on? It turns out, I start rummaging through my garage. I do not like, I'll just go ahead and say this too. I don't like Reef Gold. They've frustrated me over many years, and years ago I walked away from them.
The Reef Gold pumps.
Yeah, Reef Gold pumps.
I'm trying to be cognizant of people not watching on video because we are a podcast available on all podcast platforms. That's why I'm trying to remember us that people we're not just video. So
yeah,
it's the gold pump. Is that what it was called?
Yeah, Reflow Gold. It was a dart.
That's what I've got on my. That's the air pump for my skimmer. Is a Reflow Gold, a little one.
Huh.
Okay,
yeah.
But I have a spare.
You have a spare. But I had this Reflow Gold dart that had never been used before, but had been sitting in my garage probably 6 years, just in a bin that I had.
You just happen to have it laying around.
Well, yeah, and then I was scrambling because I have these big bins on rollers. It almost looks like Home Depot or Lowe's plumbing supply. So I have like 5 of them, And they got, 1-inch schedule 80 couplings, elbows, schedule 40. It's just plumbing stuff. So I'm trying to rack my brain. I'm thinking like, okay, Ben, remember his main pump. Is it a 2-inch in and a 1.5-inch out? I
Ah,
think it is, but I better bring multiple. And I'm trying to remember, did he have a true union ball valve, or how did I do this and that? And,
so you get end caps so you can close it if you
yeah,
need to. You're just bringing
couplings,
everything.
elbows, ball valves. I even ran to Home Depot and was like, I don't have any 2-inch pipe. So I bought, a small section of pipe and all this stuff. And, and I grabbed this reflow dart and I was like, okay. And my son, on top of it, my 7-year-old son wanted to go. And I was like, okay, great. I need extra, things going on. But he was really all about it. So I was like, all right, come on, dude.
This is if you are a maintenance person
You
for
got it.
aquariums, this is part of the job, right?
Literally, if I were to say, oh man, it's Saturday, I can't make it, that client is gone.
Gone. That's not you're self-employed doing a weird job, That's like when I was a juggler. If I no, it's New Year's Eve, I want to stay home. It's like, no, you really have to be working when the work is there.
Yeah. They're already hitting the Rolodex trying to find the other juggler. Like,
Yeah.
But so, and I go scramble. On top of that, I think it was raining or something like that. And this client is 1 hour away from me north. Okay.
Okay.
So we go and we get there, and I'm, what I like to do, obviously, at first is like, what happened? Try to understand what happened first. And so it's weird. I wish I had taken a picture of this A.O. Smith, but it doesn't really have like a back shroud on it, and the fan that spins on the back end of an external pump, there's no shroud on it. So it's this free spinning, fan.
Oh,
And
so there must have been a shroud at one time and someone took it off.
long time ago, I guess.
Yeah.
But so it was not plugged in. And the client came up and gave me the lowdown on, he said last night it was making a horrible noise and then it just sort of stopped. And so I unplugged it.
Let me just interject. So on these big external pumps, some people may not be familiar with them because they're out of vogue.
Popularity.
Most DC now. So on this pump, it's got a motor and a shaft that goes into a housing where the impeller is, and that's where all the water action happens. On the other side of the shaft, it's got a fan that spins that helps keep that whole motor cool.
Mhm.
And usually that has a protective shroud over it. What can happen with these pumps is they bind up and they stop spinning. And then you take the shroud off, and sometimes you can spin the shaft or spin that fan and it will start it up again, and you can lube it up and then walk away and be like, we shall never speak of this again until it is a problem again, and it will run by juju. So I just, in case people don't know, that's all. I just wanted to clarify.
No, that's exactly what I did. I plugged it back in, keep my hand on the plug.
Oh, I'm sorry if I stole your story.
No, it's okay. So it just made some groaning noises, but didn't spin. And that, because I've had to do it before, I took my hand on and I was twisting the back end fan, and it sounded like it wanted to keep going. I knew I wasn't going to stay with it because something that did that, it's got to go. But I was like, can we get this going again? And then finally I got it going in, but oh my God, it was making a horrible noise. So I just know that the bearings had gone out.
Yeah.
And it was just like screeching while it was running. So I was like, okay, well, I got it moving again, but the bearings are shot.
Yeah.
So I unplug it, and I have my plumbing kit, my little toolbox and everything. And I'm still sort of sweating because I hadn't taken the time to like, oh dude, another part, the part where Richard said the front of the pump has the impeller, and the plastic part that's not the motor, we call that the volute. So that's the volute of a pump. So then I go to look at it and I'm like, oh my God, please, would the volute match up with this damn reflow?
No way.
And it freaking did.
Wow. So all you had to do is unbolt the vault.
That. It fucking did.
Wow.
Unbelievable. Because I was like, why would this A.O. Smith necessarily have a 2-inch intake on the volute and a 1.5-inch return? Because I bought plumbing and I was like, oh, I'm going to have to cut his plumbing and redo it. I did not. All I had to do is re-Teflon tape things. And so it fit, the Reflow Gold fit onto the exact plumbing.
That is awesome. Hey, manufacturers, do that. Standardize your crap with each other to make our lives easier. There's nothing worse when it's like a 1 3/8 and you need a 1 and you need a 1.5, or
Wouldn't
it's
it be
metric or
scarier? What if
whatever.
the Reflow Gold Dart had a 1 1/4, and I didn't anticipate that, and he lives far away from Home Depot, so his bill could have been it was still large because of the
Saturday.
scenario. But I gave him a deal on the pump because it was used and I had no money into it. And then I had my somewhat hefty, emergency call thing. But I was done in 30 minutes. My son was like, "Dad, what can I do?" And I was like, "Man, go play with something, dude, because I'm just, I used a Blue Monster Teflon tape, and I'm cranking it with a oil gasket wrench
Yeah.
because they're big fittings. So I was cranking it back on there, then put it back into service and double check for it leaks for a good 5 minutes. I gave it 5 minutes to show me if it was leaking or not. And it actually flows faster than the A.O. Smith, which I had wanted on that tank. 30 minutes later, the client comes up and is like, "Well, what's the damage?" And I was like, "Man, I'm done." And he was like confused. And I was like, "I had this used pump and it fits exactly on everything. And there's all that." And he's
Yeah,
like, "Oh, man."
we're done in 30 minutes because I am that awesome. That's why.
Which is funny. The bill doesn't look like 30 minutes, but that part doesn't matter. It's,
I think an emergency call is a flat fee
yeah,
plus.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I saved his damn tank.
It's awesome.
So that was great. But here's where it gets hairy. So I'm driving home and I'm like,
Wait,
"Oh,
hold on. I feel a new thing is coming. So I
yes,
want to see if there's anything with this one that we want to cover before we move on.
do it, do it."
Let me think. Oh, it made me think of the problem with changing pumps has
Yeah.
always been a problem, right? And so what I used to do is have my spare pump all plumbed and ready to go with like true union halves. So all I would have to do is close the true unions, pop the old pump out, put the new one in, because in an emergency, you want to be as fast as possible, right?
And it's tricky too. This guy has a ton of money, and I would love to be able to convince him of doing this, but it wouldn't be the dumbest idea for us to buy another Reflow Gold Dart and just put it in the, it's only going to cost 300 something dollars.
I in fact, at some point with your tank, getting backup things is just smart.
It's tricky if you have like an Abyss, okay? Yeah, that's tricky.
Yeah, yeah. And then you also get stuck with me. I've got 2 brand new Fluval SP6s that I may never use, because I was going to say, so what I'm doing now, instead of plumbing them like that, is I think I'm moving to having everything be in the sump, right? No external pumps anymore.
Yeah.
And they'll be connected with
Silicone tubing.
with a length of silicone tubing and titanium gaskets, because that is just so much easier to flip everything, to change everything. Even external, I'm going to do that, because then it's, you close the valves, you open 2 of those titanium hose clamps,
Yeah.
and then you put the new pump in and slide the tubing on and close it up again, and you're just done.
I have something to share, and people could be like, "That's crazy, Ben." But I do have a tank out there that I have a 2-foot length of the 1-inch silicone tubing from BRS on an Milwaukee 70 RLT pumping up to a second floor. It has been that way for 3 years.
Oh, dude, I've got, my sump is 40 feet on the other side of the house. And from some Eheim 1138, I guess that was the popular, that's been running for 15 years. Never, never done anything to it. It's a run of silicone tubing all the way from there to these tanks behind me.
Whoa.
It's a thick walled, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, especially on the output of a pump, the silicone tubing can be fine.
Yeah.
Because it's pressurized, but it can still kink, so be careful.
Well,
So
and
yeah,
I on the where the silicone goes onto the barb and then the barb from the Milwaukee, I not only did 1 titanium clip but 2 on each, because I'm like, if this thing blows, that's pretty insane.
it's pretty insane. So yeah, so there's professional, whatever that means, and then there's practical. And I'm a big fan of the practical, and Ben's usually a big fan of the professional. And I'm thrilled that a practical is moving into a professional, because man, that silicone tubing in that situation just makes, I just don't get such a boner for my plumbing all being perfect, because it takes
There's
so much
nothing wrong
time.
with even professionals. There's a lot of professionals that would take that last foot or 2 feet from nice plumbing, because you know how the silicone tubing can isolate vibration.
Yeah.
It's not bad at all. And there's a right way and a wrong way to do soft plumbing. If you do it correctly, ain't nothing wrong with it.
Awesome.
Make
Okay.
sort of a universal link up too, like you're saying.
Yeah, then whatever, all you need is the barb fitting on that pump, and that's $2. 2 of them, one on the intake, one on the outtake, and all you do is shloop.
Yeah, go price a 2-inch True Union ball valve.
Right. That's spendy.
It's not $2.
It's not $2. It's $2,000.
$1 million.
Would you like a sandwich from a bodega?
Polyp. Where do the polyps stay at? They stay in the lab. That's PolypLab. PolypLab's been with us for a long time too.
Yeah, PolypLab's great. Phil is great. Their whole team is great. I don't have anything to show you right now. I'm looking over here what I've got, but I like the Genesis blocks a lot. So I set up 2 new tanks in the back. They're on the same system. They're the end of line tanks, so that's where the water change empties to. But because the tanks themselves are new, I pulled some Genesis blocks out of the tanks behind me here and threw them in there. And that gives, that's a whole bunch of bacteria doing the nitrification stuff that needs to be done in a new tank. So, boy, that's great. Instead of like a cup full of sand and hoping and waiting, I know that I put a bunch of bacteria in there already. Super easy.
That's what I do when I install a new client tank. Seriously, I keep PolypLab Genesis blocks in an older tank, and I just shift it to there for a couple months and then put it back. It works way better than something I would buy that I don't even know if it's in there or not.
Yeah, so check out PolypLab products wherever good products are sold, like maybe our other 2 show sponsors.
Would you like a sandwich from a bodega?
So you finish with this client, and
I was like, man, that was crazy. I'm gonna go home and chill.
And you grab your giant son and you put him in the box.
Squished him in the car. We drive home. I stop. I get him a cheeseburger. Blah blah blah. I get home, and then I get one of my clients that I talk to a lot texting me saying, hey, there's something with my tank that seems to be driving the temperature up a little bit. And so I have him on Apex. So I open it up and take a look at it. And then we start a process of elimination. I'm like, unplug your heaters, unplug, we're doing that. And then I have like 6 clients on Apex. So I get off of his, we sort of figure that out.
What was it?
It was I guess it doesn't matter if I say this either, but BRS released those heaters, those titanium heaters, and Shago made them. And Shago is a company that I have a lot of I loved them because they made these badass air pumps. And so I got super excited when BRS licensed Shago to make titanium heaters, but I didn't know that Shago made titanium heaters. I just knew that Shago made great air pumps, and I felt that there was some badass German company that couldn't possibly do anything wrong. But you go down the road a little bit, and the 600-watt model of those BRS Shago heaters had a lot of troubles. I personally had 6 of them, but at least when they failed off.
And this was just that's good. And that's just the 600. I use 300s.
The 300s didn't seem to do that.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to cause any, but all I had heard behind the scenes is that when BRS started selling them, they took off like freaking hotcakes. And then they were telling Shago, like, dude, we make them. And I don't know what Shago did or did not do, but they sped up production, and maybe it was a quality control thing, but they had a lot of them, but that they failed, but at least they failed off, but they did fail on the 600-watt ones. But I contacted BRS and they made me whole, no problems at all.
Good.
So they made me whole on those. But But so it was that with this guy, because I was like, "What heaters do you have again?" He's like, "Oh, it's the B." He bought them before I took over his tanks, like the BRs, and I was like, "It's not the 600, is it?" Yeah, it's oh, dude. Okay, so we called up Champion, and I got what is Todd have? Is it Jolly? I think. No, Phoenix. I got the Phoenix heaters,
Titanium.
heaters, and got those in because no heater is perfect, period. But the Phoenix has been decent with me.
Yeah.
But
So just to jump on that, heaters are terrible.
yeah,
Heaters are like the worst part, the least. I mean, they're the most failure prone thing I think in all of our system. Knock on all kinds of wood. It's
weakest
one of the
link.
yeah. They just the way we're just asking them to do something insane for very little money, so they do go down. And which is why, for best practices for me was to go to multiple smaller wattage heaters. So if a heater goes bad, okay, one heater went bad, we're still fine. That's how I dealt with it.
Here's another little piece of advice, which this may seem pretty anal, but stick with me. When I buy a heater, I look on the box and I want to see what their warranty is. So you can buy white electrical tape anywhere. You could do labeling, whatever you want to do. So when I buy that heater, I put a piece of white electrical tape over the like lengthwise over the cord and pull it together. So it's sort of like a tag.
Yeah.
And then I write like if it's April 2024, or let's say it's 2024, I'll write 2026 if it has a 2-year warranty, 2027 if it's a 3-year warranty, some of them have 5-year warranties. I just want that date on there of when I should replace that heater, because generally a heater, I think that's part of what they do with their research and development, is they figure out the wear and tear and what these components are. And look, we're going to be comfortable with 3-year warranty on this because a lot of the failures seem to be happening after that. We got your back before the lion's share of failures start happening, and that's our warranty. But then after that, so what I'm trying to do is when I buy the heater, I put the year that I bought it on and then try to replace it, and it's the reason I do that obnoxious white tape with it right there is because I need it to hit me in the face every time I'm around the tank.
You want to see it. It's so weird. I love that idea of putting more information on the device itself. And you might as well write heater on it as well, right?
This is the heater. Replace it in 2028.
It'd be super neat if you wrote what you called it on the Apex as well, right?
Yeah.
That's all. I have still not gotten to relabeling everything back here behind me.
It's a chore.
And it's such a chore. And maybe I'll get to it this year. Maybe I'll get to it before my trip. Oh my God, I'm going away for 3 weeks. I should probably get that all done. Anyway.
Do it. So
anyway, great advice. If you have it in you, when you get something new, label it however you want. There's all kinds of fancy ways to label it, but I often go back to what Ben just said: is you take some good tape, masking tape, and you just make a taco of it around, and then you have you have a however long you want it, but you have like a 6-inch tag on there that you can write whatever you want on it. If you do that as soon as you put something on, then you're done.
I mean, if I threw it on there and was like, oh, cool, it has a 3-year warranty, there is no way in hell I'm just going to be around it without that tape on there and just go, oh, you know what? I got that 3 years ago. That is just not. So, and I do that specifically for heaters because that is the weakest link. I want to replace that thing, whether it is working or not,
right,
at about the time that the warranty is out.
Your heaters are consumables.
It's like, I was talking to a bigwig at Cobalt who makes heaters at one of the Macnas, and he was saying, he was like, I know this sounds like a conflict of interest because we sell these, and of course I'm going to say this, but he's like, he's the one that gave me this idea about replacing them at around the warranty and not, oh, it still works, let's keep trucking. He's like, it's dangerous. He's like, you wouldn't do that with your car tires. So he was telling me to think about heaters like car tires. You just replace them on a regular basis, not like, oh, I'm going to run this car tire until it explodes on my vehicle. he
Yeah.
was telling me that's the same, similar thing.
So here's an interesting thing. When I do heaters, I usually buy 6 or 8 of them, right? Because I use the same size everywhere, just 300 watt. I don't, it's fine. That's a good size for the bodies of water I have. And then I have a stack of them. And as they go bad, I just pull them out and put a new one on. I have them right there, ready to go. They're titanium, so I don't have to program anything, right? There's no controller built into it, which is
Oh, I
really
never
nice.
do
So
that. Yeah.
whoop, whoop, really quick. And I'm out. So it's time to order a few more because
Yeah,
they
the controlling is done over on the Apex. That's why I get the bare titaniums either. Like, as a professional, so long ago, I walked away from the type of heater that has its own little controller thermostat because just after all this experience, I feel like something is lost when you shrink that down into
yeah,
the body of a heater. And I
yeah,
don't trust that. I either use an Inkbird or a Renko or the Apex itself.
yeah. So usually I have like 3 extra of either Rankos. Actually, I have Rankos. I just haven't bothered to wire them up. I should probably just do that instead of buying more Inkbirds.
Yeah.
But then again, the Inkbirds work so well, and if it's all the same everywhere, nobody has to go, well, what is that? If I'm not around. But I do have the only heater I could find for this little Metasepia tank is a 300 watt. But it's got the heat controller, in a puck. It's not built into the heater.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit better. But thank you for the reminder. It is time to
Yeah.
order new stuff.
It's time to order more heaters.
Would you like a sandwich from a bodega?
Beefers, we love you. I mean, we wouldn't be doing this anymore if it wasn't for the Reef Beef community, which might even exist without us at this point now. We could both die and it might still happen.
Hey,
But thank you so much. Any and all of the support, from being a member, from buying merch, from sharing the videos around, from being part of the community. We certainly appreciate it and we enjoy it. We learn stuff, you learn stuff. It's a good place to talk. People aren't trying to stir shit up. It's all just good talk. So I'm not even going to talk about, try to get anybody to sign up. I'm just thanking everyone that has. We surely appreciate it. So thank you very much.
Would you like a sandwich from a bodega?
Yeah.
so that was that one client that had the heat issue, but it had me in my Apex app.
Okay.
So I scroll a little bit and I'm looking at something and I'm like, what the hell? So another client an hour south of me, and so I'll explain it this way because I had just gotten them this Apex. This was a client that I've had for 12 years, and there has been all sorts of disasters since this time.
This is a third client you're talking about now?
Yes, this is the middle client was just a little blip that got me to the second.
Okay, so you had a blip with the heater, worked it out.
Yeah,
no big deal. He's got another one. You'll bring him another one. It'll be okay for a few days. Then you were in the Apex app and you happened to look at another client.
Yeah. Now
that's
the reason
that's had all kinds of problems.
Yeah, and the reason it didn't let me know is because I had just put it on there a week ago and I hadn't gotten around to setting, otherwise the alarm would say tank is hot, let me know. And it took to me, scrolling and like, oh, why is her tank 87 degrees?
Oh no.
So I was also thinking, I was trying to think in my head, I was like, did the temperature probe, is it laying on the heater? Did it fall out of the water? What is it, an anomaly? What the hell's going on? So I call her and I was like, your Apex is telling me that your tank is 87 degrees. And I told her, I was like, that's ludicrous. That's way beyond where it should be. Can you help me go downstairs and look in the filtration room and help me see what's going on? So she goes down there. I have multi levels of protection on there. So the heater's plugged into an Inkbird. The Inkbird's plugged into the Apex. So she goes down there and then she calls me and she's like, the thing's beeping. The Inkbird was beeping. So I said, hit the middle button, set, and tell me, because it's what we want it to be, the number on the bottom of the Inkbird, and the number on top blinking is what it is. And she was like, well, it's 78 on the bottom and it's blinking 87 on the top. I was like, son of a bitch. And and that's when I was like, this one is what made this day epic, because I was like, 2 major emergencies in one day. That's not something that has happened to me in 25 years. both clients 1 hour north and 1 hour south of
Oh
me,
no.
the two furthest clients. So this one, I didn't want my son coming with me because I was like, at this point, when it's another major emergency, I was like, dude, I need the headspace. I need quiet. I need to be by myself.
For sure.
But it was smart. She had her daughter there, and God, I can't believe I'm going to be honest about this. I had a moment where I was thinking, and I told her, I was like, well, let's keep an eye on it and I'll be there tomorrow. But this was only like 1 minute because I was like, Ben, what are you doing? And I'm being honest about this because this is the crap that goes through your head when you own a business like this. Because I was like, I don't want to go out to another one. And then real quick, I was like, Ben, you put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in this. 87 ain't going to ride if you don't go address this. Because I had her unplug the heaters. But
Yeah.
I was still like, but why is it doing this? And I better go. And and I told, no, I will be there. I will be there.
Yeah. It sounds like there was there. It wasn't the heaters that were the problem. There's something else going on.
Yeah,
Is what it
exactly.
right? Okay.
'Cause I
Something else
told
is
her-
heating up the water.
Yeah. Now, oh, this is where this one gets so crazy.
Oh no.
Because I said, I still had her on the phone. I said, if it's 87, and she's one of the few clients that I have that has a chiller because her filtration is outside in a shed attached to her
Okay.
house. And so I said, if it's 87, that black box is not vibrating, then that's not right. So she put her hand on it and said, it is not vibrating. And that's the chiller. And I was like, why in the hell is the chiller not on? So that's when I knew. I was like, we're not waiting this out. It wasn't a malfunctioning heater, because the chiller would they'd be fighting each other. The heaters would be malfunctioning on, and the chiller would still be on trying to cool it. But I was like, all right. So I drive down there again. It's an hour into Houston. The other one was away from Houston. An hour into Houston. I get there, and I'm trying to figure out how to make this more simple because she had a problem with a big power strip that I got off of Amazon.
Okay.
Where I had a lot of stuff plugged into it and it got overloaded. This was months ago. It got overloaded. It shut itself off while it was one of those days where it was 20 degrees outside. Now, I've had her as a client for a long time. There's been many, because her tank is only 60 gallons, but it's 8 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot. So
Okay.
it's very like decorative and artsy. It's in the back of her theater room. It's a very nice reef tank that I show online all the time and get all sorts of oohs and ahs from it. But it has been blasted like 4 or 5 times in the history I've been doing it. Every time it got blasted for cold snap, power outage, this or that, ma'am, can we please put this Apex thing on there? Well, I don't, normally clients don't argue with me, but for whatever reason, I didn't push hard enough and she didn't see, I maybe didn't explain it well enough. We could put this controller on here. It will let me know. At least I have a heads up. I can get here before this tank gets blasted. Because I've gotten it up to looking gorgeous like 4 or 5 times, and then it gets derailed.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't, you don't want to keep doing this. I can't keep doing this. Let's put a controller on here.
No, I was just saying, I'm just going, yeah. I'm just feeling for you.
So a month ago, I got the Apex on there, but I did not plug the chiller into the Apex because, and I'm still, again, I'm gonna be honest with this, and Richard can attest to this and viewers to this. I'm still coming into the controller world where at once I had been like, screw this technology, and now I'm embracing it. I'm far down the road now of embracing it and being more uncomfortable, but I still have a lot of potholes to fill in my knowledge and stuff with it. So I was uncomfortable to plug such a electricity hog into an Apex.
Yeah,
and I know that I need what's called a relay, where you plug the relay into the Apex and then the thing like a chiller into the relay, because when the Apex needs to tell the chiller to come on, the chiller's not sucking all that wattage through it.
So just clarify it in case people don't know what's going on. If you got the EB832 or the EB8 on the Apex, which is basically a giant power strip that the Apex controls, it's great, right? It's awesome. And because it's like a giant power strip, you can't just put infinite amounts of electrical draw on it. chillers are generally chillers and heaters are electrical hogs,
Yeah.
which is another reason to go to multiple small heaters instead of one big one.
Mhm.
And there's a couple ways around this problem, right? And some, and you have to check each outlet on the apex on the EB8s and the EB832 because you got to make sure you're not over pulling through the device. Now there's an old EB4 which you can still get somewhere, which has one outlet which allows you to do 12 amps off that one outlet.
Yeah.
Don't plug anything else into it. That's almost essentially a relay. But now you can get for $30 off Amazon, there's all kinds of relays, and you plug that into wall power, and then you plug the control line, which I think is a 1 to 10 volt control, and you plug that into the relay, and then that plugs into the apex, and then all you're doing is telling the apex to send a signal to that relay, and it will turn the power off on that relay, but it's pulling from the wall, not through the apex. So
Yeah.
whatever that circuit can take, that relay can take. And
Yeah.
I've got a few of those. There's other uses for those in the world of Apex. They also make a device that's just like a heater relay that will do that. So but those are harder to find and weirder.
I
I hope
guess the people that make those have to be sort of careful, because if people don't use them correctly, like there's lawsuits, and that's why they're just not hanging off trees. Like they better be well made. It's not a piece of equipment that can be badly made.
right. And I've got one, I saw one 4 or 5 years ago, so I bought it. So it's brand new in case I needed it for something, because sometimes they can be hard to find.
Mhm.
But now there's the new relay, whatever relay I just used recently. It's like $30 and boom, Bob's your uncle, you're done. It's super simple.
Like a long time ago, Sunlight Supply had one called Titan, and they had it for a
Yes.
while, and then it came off the market. And the only reason I could think of was because they were just getting into, liability territories that they weren't comfortable with. If the thing doesn't do what it said, or it does something weird, like, there can be lawsuits involved in that.
It's just a weird piece of kit and not a lot of people use it. So it's like, do we really want the annoyance of this thing
And possible,
and
yeah,
people doing stupid stuff with it?
yeah,
I'm looking up
but
the relay to see if I have. There it is. We'll put the link down below.
yeah.
Then you just need the cable for it.
Well, so I had left the chiller plugged into the old power strip, which shame on me, because that's the whole reason that we got but I sort of thought that, like, certainly it can just handle the chiller on itself. So what it did is it got the power strip. Once you pop the fuse on a power strip or whatnot, it gets weaker and weaker. Its ability to protect itself gets weaker and weaker. So I don't know what the heck happened, but it did pop itself out, and the chiller was attached to that. So that's why the tank had gone up to 87. Oh, let me backtrack a little
Wait.
bit before. Go ahead.
Wait, what popped?
The Amazon power strip, that the only thing plugged in was the chiller.
So it's just a crappy power strip.
Yeah, crappy power strip, and it just said this is too much, and it popped.
Okay.
Before I left to here, because I was like, I'm coming there right away, and then her daughter was like, maybe I should throw ice cubes in the tank, and I was like, no, get a Ziploc bag, put ice cubes in that. And she goes, why? And I said, if you throw ice cubes in there, you're going to change the salinity when they melt. So put them in a Ziploc bag and float them in there. And it's funny, while I was driving, I was watching the temperature, and man, the bag itself, she put 3 bags of ice cubes in there. That by the time I got there, it was 81 degrees. So I was like, thank you for doing that. But so what we did is which sometimes it takes, I wish it wouldn't, but sometimes it takes like a disaster or something to get you to do what you should have thought of in the first place. You know what I mean?
Well, everything is a cost benefit risk analysis. It's, I know I should label all these cords. I know I should go through the apex and rearrange it and make it's been a year and a half of jerking around with stuff and changing things and figuring it's standardize it. I know I should, but the amount of work that takes based on the problem, will this ever be something? And it's the same thing with everything. It's like with all the stories you've told today, it's yes, we should replace that pump because eventually it's going to go bad. But how long do you need to wait? When do you make that decision?
And 10 years? Do we need to buy a pump because that other one lasted for 10 years?
Well, I'm thinking about replacing my display tank, right? After a couple of steps we talked about, we'll talk about details later in another show. But I'm like, that tank's been there for 20 years and I got it used. Boy, it feels like I should change it, right? Because it's getting old.
It's just asking for it.
At the same time, I don't think I'll feel any safer with a new tank.
Yeah.
Everything's the risk. If the new tank is manufactured poorly or there's a problem, that could easily leak. So it's just everything is a nightmare of choice.
And you're throwing in the towel of this juggernaut of an aquarium, and it's like it's hard to tell sometimes when things are going to give up. Richard, here is the absolute epic thing that the Apex did for me in this situation.
Yeah.
So I'm backtracking a tiny bit. When I first got there and she's standing outside and I'm standing there, and something dawned on me when I opened the door because I saw the power strip and the little toggle switch was not lit.
Right.
The first thing that came into my head was, holy shit, did I forget to turn the fucking chiller on when I was here last?
Oh, God.
So look at it this way from a business perspective. I can't charge her emergency anything. It was my dumbass that didn't turn it on. And it's funny, while I was sitting there looking at it, she is a smart individual. She looked at it and she goes, "Oh, that light's not on." And I go, "Yeah," because the same thing was rolling around in my head. And she goes, "Did you?" And I go, "No, wait," because I had clicked that outlet to log the graph with the temperature. So I was there on Thursday. This emergency was Saturday. And I said, "Hold on, miss." I said, "Let me bring up the temperature graph because this will tell me if I didn't turn that thing on Thursday, the heat would have gone as soon as I left." I bring up the graph. Temperature was fine all the way up until Friday evening when it documented that the thing popped and the chiller didn't come on. So I was like, Apex. It's a first real one. You know how I've been dragging my feet on Apex? It was one of the first real moments where I was like, then and there, I showed her the graph and it's like, there's none to argue with. And she go, "Yes, you turned it back on and it popped itself." And I was like, Apex saved my bacon. I didn't even know if I had maybe forgotten to turn it on.
Yeah.
And the graph showed me and her then and there that I did in fact turn it on. So I was like, okay.
How big thank good. Yeah. Stuff is useful. How big a chiller is it?
It's a quarter horse, but I got with Todd and I ordered a brand new because this chiller is 12 years old and the condenser fins are so oxidized you can touch it and break the fins. So I got a 1/3. I talked to Todd at Champion and we discussed it over, how big's the tank and how this and that. So I got a 1/3.
Okay, so I was leading us to like, why did that power strip pop? Why did the breaker blow? And it's because it's an old,
you think so?
Caked up chiller. Yeah, I'll bet you. And unfortunately, you can't do power monitoring with it because it's not plugged directly into the Apex, right? But as the chiller has to work harder and harder, it pulls more and more.
Yeah.
And so that's why I popped. Because I was going to say what kind of power strip, and I was going to say people, don't just get a power strip, by the way. Get a surge protector, get a quality one from a quality company. And, that's going to be different to different people. But don't go into the, your big box store and just buy, or on Amazon and buy the cheapest power strip. That's not going to help you out. And
this was at
actually
least, this one was at least commercial. It's a black box one with a metal body and the dog ear tabs where you can screw it in easily, all that, surge protected, but still a nameless Amazon product.
Yeah. But it sounds like that wasn't the problem. Did you replace that too, or are you just using that?
Oh no, I shit canned that.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what's going on with that, but
that's a fair,
we can put a link to it because I have a buddy in the aquarium industry that his main job is an HVAC guy. And there is a spray that you can put on a brand new What is the metal grid part to a chiller? Is that a condenser?
That's the oh, you said condenser and it pulled it out of my mind. The radiator.
Radiator?
That's what I would call it. The fins.
The fins. But so it is a two-part epoxy made for this. When the chiller, or it's really meant for like outside HVAC, it's brand new. You can spray paint it on here and it fuses to the metal and it protects it from oxidation. So especially in that case where it's a saltwater aquarium where the chiller is in a shack outside, not outside, but in a shack that's outside. So I'm the new 1/3 Tradewinds horsepower, 1/3 horsepower chiller. I'm spraying the radiator or condenser,
It's they can be either called radiating fins or fin condensers.
fin condenser. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. I've had a chiller outside for 15 years that I should probably spray that on.
Here's what I don't know, Richard, is because if you spray paint it on when it's already oxidized up a little bit, I wonder, is that okay? Are you just stopping any more oxidation? Or are you trapping oxidation?
Ask your buddy and let us
Okay.
know, because that's a good thing to know. My chiller barely ever does anything. And I must have it on one of those things. I'll have to look to see what
Relay?
I have it plugged into. What turns it, because I know it's turned on and off by the apex. Let me.
What turns it on?
I hate that. I love that I don't recall what it's plugged into.
But
I made
shit,
it's
that's
like
why
a,
the show is good. Now you're gonna
Yeah.
go look.
it's a quarter horse chiller, so it may be plugged directly into the apex or an EB4. I'll have to look.
Okay.
I love not knowing.
Yeah.
So anyway, you just replaced all that. You replaced the strip plug and
Yeah. So what we did is
the chiller.
So I didn't have to go to Home Depot from her house. Her husband is very mechanical oriented, and I was like, certainly he has a short, like heavy duty um
Extension cord.
extension cord in his garage. So we looked and we did find a 6-foot long, 3-prong heavy duty. So I bypassed, I just took offline that strip and we went right to the wall and then into the shack, and I plugged the chiller right into the wall.
Yeah. All right, and
So-
then just let the chiller do its thing. Not
Yeah.
not relay controlled by the apex at all.
And the chiller's working, but like I said, the radiator condenser is horribly oxidized. So it is trying harder. But now, I'm waiting to get the can of stuff, and I have the new chiller at my house, and then we'll get that worked on.
Yeah,
And,
and so yeah, it's another thing. How often should you replace a chiller?
God, and it's a huge ticket item.
At some point,
And you're not, here's a funny thing too, like we're talking about duplicating pumps. You're not gonna buy a $1,500 chiller and then buy a second $1,500 chiller and throw it in your garage.
Right,
You would never do that.
and so I kind of get, you're waiting for those kinds of things to fail, and then you replace them.
Boy, I wouldn't know what it is like I do with a heater, but you would wonder on a chiller, like, hey, when the chiller's 8 years old, when it's 10 years old, when it's 12 years old, when it's 15 years old. Like, I had been feeling, and I had even told her, like even a year ago, I was like, look, your chiller's pretty old. I don't think it's a big deal right now, but I just want to give you a heads up, because we might think about, I had said that like a year ago. But I was kicking the can down the road too, because I was like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, but because it's such a good idea to let them know about every once in a while, every 6 months, every year, to let your clients know these are the upgrades I'm looking at coming down the line. You can decide when they're done. And then when you go, yeah, that's why I talked about the chiller last year. And they go, oh, you're Reef Nostradamus.
Yeah. No, and she's told me too, is like, look, I know this is expensive, but like any of this equipment, anything having to do with the aquarium, if you think it's getting long in the tooth, let me know about it. And I was like, certainly will.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Wow. So that was all one day.
That was all one day, and then I got back and I was like, I think I put my phone on do not disturb for like an hour.
Yeah.
And then I was like, nah, and I took it off because I was like, this is my life, man.
So let me just get this straight. You had 2 clients get in touch with you because of an emergency. Then you happen to be looking at other clients' stuff on Apex and noticed a problem and called that other client and then had to go out to their house on emergency.
Yep.
That's fantastic. You are a good maintenance person.
When I felt, and I felt like, yay. Of course, I'm getting 2 big checks from 2 people.
Yeah, but I mean, just that, part of what you sell of you is that I will help make it go without problems.
It represents me.
And to be able to go, hey, there's I just checked. It's Saturday night and I just checked and there's something goofy going on with your tank. We need to fix this.
That second one, I'll admit, I dragged my feet a tiny bit, but then I got that voice that's like, Ben, do the right thing. That's
still badass and a real thing. That's so stupid. I want
reason someone would pay me.
A real justification for monitoring and control.
Oh yeah.
You just go, look, I can see everything that's happening. And
if we still didn't have the Apex on there, her tank would have just fried. It would have been her calling me saying everything in the tank is
dead. And I saw on the Discord that you're looking at alarms.
Yeah.
Setting up alarms.
Trying to get better with them and figure out how they work and all that.
Yeah.
Kind of stuff.
Go crazy with them at first. And then, you understand them, and then you just start removing stuff from the alarm.
Or at least I can expand out the level that it would let me know.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. And that's just, I know there's maintenance companies that have dozens upon dozens of them, but with just my 5 people on Apex, like how many things, hey, Ben this, hey, Ben that. And I'm just like, can't do this.
No.
And it's the don't cry wolf thing. So if I had too many alarms going off and I don't catch the important ones.
Yeah.
Because John's temperature went 0.5 out of whack, and then this other person's tank fell through the ceiling, but I don't catch that, so.
Yeah, I took a lot of the alarms off, and now, because I've got 2 or 3 Apexes running, and I find it easier just to every day or every other day to browse them and go, what's everything doing here? What's everything doing here? Oh, I should fix that.
I learned one thing off of the Discord from you.
Oh.
And I didn't even tell you about it because when I got the another 8-pin Apex Neptune for a 600-gallon Reef tank guy that I have, and he has a huge, and oh my God, I love it so much, a huge Bubble King 3000 external, really expensive skimmer. And so when I got the Apex, it had those little magnetically coupled optical sensors on it.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of things to do with it. So one of it, I mean, the head on this skimmer is like this big. So I put one of them in there in the skimmer. I didn't want it. I wasn't asking it to do anything, but just tell me if the skimmate gets up there or not. So I could tell him to look at it. Something that rarely happens, but I just put it on there. And then I was watching the discussion and I saw you say something about how in dirty water, those optical sensors don't work that great, and the foam can trigger it too. So you need more of coming through the top and do a physical magnetic float if you wanted to know that.
Yeah.
Especially if you wanted it to trigger something to be done.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I've been experimenting in the bog over here with a optical switch to fill up the bog or not. And it's been working. The water is not that gross though. I think salt water is probably way more disgusting in having stuff that will grow on the optical sensor. So the optical sensors always make me nervous. I use a float switch when I can. Breakout box and a float switch.
Well, it'd be cool because you could turn that bog into a waterfall.
That's exactly right. Yeah, did I put a drain on it? No, I keep threatening to put an emergency drain on it. But this optical sensor, I keep threatening to rebuild the whole bog, but that optical sensor seems to be doing what I want it to do. But downstairs, like in my skimmate bucket, I've got a float switch because skimmate goo is going to make that gross very quickly. And also if I'm using if I want it to be a high level sensor, like an emergency sensor, so it's out of the water, I'm fine with an optical switch, an optical sensor there.
Because so going back to the lady with the chiller thing, I did another one of those and I have a piece of tape where her level always sits and I put one of those optical sensors right above it. And again, I'm not asking it to do something for me, but I put an alarm on it to say, hey, if water ever reaches this, just let me know.
Yeah, that's a great use for it. If I get a little nervous if you put those optical sensors like in the salt water. And I got to clarify why, because I am a lazy. I do not enjoy a chore of cleaning optical sensors once a month. That's not something I want to do. If you do, great. If you like everything to be squeaky clean and that's how you want to reef, I'm all for it.
I guess that
Doesn't
works
work
for me in a roundabout way because I show up and so I'm mixing water. I'm looking for things to do. So I sort of like, oh, clean that little,
No, it's great. If it was my job at somebody else's house, I would definitely be on top of all of those things. But in my own life, I just
no,
know there's other things I want to do.
yeah.
Like I want to look at the animals more than I want to,
I'd be the same way if I wasn't there and on the clock and have that feeling in my head. I would be like, if it was at my house, I'd be like, yeah, I'll look at it in 2 months.
Right. Well, cool. That's the story of Ben, of Ben's emergency week, a day. It's one day.
Wait, Richard, please. Again, I'm not a spiritual religious guy.
No, we got to end right now. We got to no, what?
I'm knocking on wood because I relayed that story. I don't want that happening again, please.
Well, emergencies are going to happen, right?
Yeah.
This is another one of the dishes are never done. You're going to get in reef keeping, you are going to get emergencies when you don't want them. It's going to happen. And you just
I'll say another thing. Another weird thing is as a company, like, I don't know that I can put a percentage on it, but like a lot of times some of these emergencies turn out to not be emergencies when I get there and fiddle. Oh, whatever. It's blah, blah, blah. It's not a big deal. Both of these emergencies I addressed on that day stood to completely annihilate both tanks.
Yeah. It's you gotta pay attention.
Yep.
It's great. And they're both success stories, right? So that's
Could have
awesome.
been bad.
Yeah. I love could have been bad stories that ended up being fixed.
And two in one day felt like lightning striking twice.
Yeah. 87. That could have been bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, great. So the takeaways from this are what? Pay attention to your gear. Decide when you need to change it. Don't buy crap. Monitoring and control is useful.
Yeah, be careful when your equipment gets long in the tooth.
Yeah. Think about stuff. Excellent. That was good.
Do the right thing.
Do the right thing.
If you're a business and someone calls you, go do it. Go address it. Go be a hero.
Go be a hero. If you disagree with us or agree with us or hate us or love us, put it in the comments. Apparently that engagement actually helps the show. So that's great. If you share our videos, that helps. If you want to become a member, we have a Discord and it's got a member section that's really active. And that's pretty cool. It costs a little bit of cash, but it looks like a lot of people find it very useful. Join us at reefbeatpodcast.com/membership. And there's other member benefits like we do. Scott Colson is one of our members who's been organizing tank tours on Wednesday nights. And there's usually just like a live chat on Wednesday nights as well. But we had like Sanjay came and gave us like a 5-hour tank tour.
That was incredible.
And these are things that are like, no, we're not recording them and we're not sharing them because while Ben and I can say a bunch of crap and be okay with it being out in the world, that's not what everybody's about. So this is a live thing for members. It's like going to a concert.
When you're there, you're there.
When you're there, you're there. And that was really cool. And that Sanjay, for 5 hours, he kept going, it's been 4 hours. I got to go. And then he starts talking again. So
yeah, we didn't hold him there. He was like,
super fun.
Let me tell you about my Kalkwasser. It's like, okay.
Super fun. So come talk with us. And there's other benefits you get as being a member as well. And also, you know, if you're listening to this on a podcast, we appreciate that. I think our numbers are still like most people listen to us rather than watch the video. So thank you. However you're listening to the show, thank you. However you've supported us, thank you. We sure do appreciate it. And we sure do like talking to you on the Discord and in the comments. So thank you. This episode of Reef Beef has been brought to you by
saltwateraquarium.com, Champion Lighting and Supply, and
powered by PolypLab. And here's the thing to leave you with today. I rock more bling than Mr. T. I make it look easy because it is from me. And if you know who said that, we'd like to know if you know who said that. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next time we see you. Have a great whatever amount of time it is between then and now. Thanks to our Prime Beefers, Farhad and Jules Cole Reef, and our Gold Level Beefers, Ben J, Barrier Reefers, Francois, Jason, Rich, James, Scott, Jim, John, Adam, and Robert. Thank you, guys. Recording in progress.
the progress is being recorded.
The progress of recording. Do 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 do.
Richard,
Benjamin,
you've got so many machines, Richard.
I do. Look at all this crap here.
J-Bos.
There's so much.
Oh my God. It did, just because you pointed at some stuff, it did your emoticon.
Which emoticon?
I think you did the thumb. You're like, look at this stuff. I swear it did it. I thought you need two of them. Or it gave a thumbs up.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that.
That was weird. You just said this stuff over here and it gave me a thumbs up. It just let me know. Oh, I was like, what is that on your, there you go. I was like, what's that on your aquarium? And that's that medical droid from Empire. That's not the medical droid. That was the medical droid. Was
the Imperial probe
droid. Turquoise. Yeah, yeah, yeah. My brother had that medical tank droid where he had some teal color on it. He was the one watching Luke in that vat of liquid.
That's right. In the back to tank.
You had to buy several toys and then take the UPC codes and mail them out.
Oh, that's
and then
funny.
They would send it to you.
Funny shit.
Funny shit.
Okay. La 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 boutique boo ta ta boo ta ta.
Would you like a sandwich from a bodega?